Psychic America. This is Tracy Brown coming to you today, March 12th, 2014. I am doing a reading today on Brandon Howard, who is supposedly the son of Michael Jackson, where Brandon gave a sample and then some dentists got Michael's dentures from an auction and they used that. Like, what are the odds of finding that dentist? What are the odds of Brandon finding that dentist? And then some other group of people took those results and sent them out of state. I'd like to know why they had to send it out of state, because there's plenty here in the U.S. Then it turns out it was most likely a fraud. And then somehow or another, Akon got in the middle of this. Akon is in the middle of it. But we know that Akon is in the middle of this because Akon has an album with Brandon Howard that's due to come out. And then I wish I would have done this reading like last week, because I like to see all of this come out. Like, that's what I like. But sometimes when the information comes out, depending on my day, I'm so tired. So it's hard for me to do the reading sometimes because I'm working as a psychic. Oh, and by the way, I hear there's a lot of complaints because I don't respond to your Twitter messages. Oh well, I work as a psychic, people. So I don't always get to respond, and sometimes I don't get to respond until like 10 o'clock at night when I'm in the privacy, of my own personal space. And sometimes I just want to read people's text messages. If I respond, it kind of means that I'm working. And so I just like to go on Twitter and read what everybody has to say, or retweet, what people have to say, but it doesn't necessarily mean. And sometimes my heart wants to respond, and sometimes I go, okay, I got to remember to respond to this tomorrow, and then I forget. So, cut the complaints about how I don't respond on Twitter. Oh, well. In any case, keep talking to me on Twitter. Brandon. So then, Akon got involved. Akon bothers me. But that's just me. He always bothered me. But then Joe Jackson is involved now. So at first I was going to look to see, and I still might do it, look to see if Brandon is, I wasn't going to look to see if Brandon was Michael Jackson's son. Because I honestly feel it's a ploy. I don't think you need to be a psychic to see that. But I wanted to look to see if this was going to make or break his career, which is this is what I think he wanted, but I think it's stupid, but it doesn't matter. In any case. But then Joe Jackson got involved. And we know Joe Jackson's a dog, so he probably is Brandon Howard's son. Because Brandon put out, I think on YouTube, where he's like, I was well taken care of. Which brings me to another point. Most children, especially if they're raised by a single parent, most children don't say that. They don't say, I was well taken care of. They usually say, yeah, my mom took care of me. She was a single mom. She did a great job. Not that I was well taken care of. Does that make sense? So I'm kind of tipping, leaning to Joe Jackson being the daddy. That I'm feeling that one more than anything. Because Joe Jackson was a busy man. Catherine, how did you put up with Joe? You poor thing. You just had to turn a blind eye, didn't you? And then you had to divorce him ultimately. So you should have just left him when you had your youth. And you could have gotten another man to take care of you, although Joe would have had a fit. He wouldn't have let you do that. You know that. All right, I'm talking too much. This is Psychic Tracy Brown. Call me out of the Green Man store at 818-985-2010. Twitter me, even though I complain. I won't respond because I'm just tired. But Twitter me at PopCulture Psychic. Facebook me at Psychic Tracy Brown. Skype me at Psychic Tracy Brown. All right, I'm 4 minutes in. What are we looking at with Brandon Howard? Let's look at everything. Let's look to see if he's Michael Jackson's son. Let's just do that. Because if he's not, it'll show me the daddy will show up. And then we'll look to see if Joe Jackson is somehow truly involved and is the daddy of Brandon Howard. By the way, I like your name, Brandon. I almost named my son Brandon. Brandon was one of the choices, but I chose Brian. And he so looks like a Brian. Just like his baby looks like an Ezra. So cute. Have you guys seen the Twitter pics of my grandchild? So cute. Just want to eat his chocolate toes. Brandon, are you Michael Jackson's son? I'm so bored with this, by the way. Aren't you bored? I'm just so bored with this. Akon, you did this. You created this drama. You took a little story and went there. Akon. You producer, you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let me put my glasses on. This might be a little lengthy, people, so get in for the ride. Too many things to look at. Well, I mean, Brandon, you're definitely doing this to transform your career. It could be somewhat successful if you have a good voice. It actually could work. You're passionate about music. I get that. You're just as passionate as any other musician out there. But I'm just going to say this and let it come out later. You have girly ways, Brandon. You have girly ways. Now, I don't know what that means. I'm not going to dive into, one way or the other. But you got girly ways. So, could wind up being a problem for you in the long run. There is definitely a distortion. Brandon, you're not Michael Jackson's. You're not. You game player. But again, I get a card that says transformation. So I get 2 cards that says transformation. So this does change you, Brandon. However, transformation doesn't always mean for the better. So we'll look to see if this actually works for you. But something does change for you. Brandon, you might be a little cray-cray. You might be a little cray-cray. You might have some issues with, you have some issues with your identity without a doubt, but you also might have some issues with not your identity as to who your father is, but you might have an identity crisis on how you show up to the world. And I'm back to you acting like a girl now. It ties in. Somehow. It ties in. I don't know how I got that. But Brandon, there's going to be some issues. I think you probably are gay. I think you're not going to act like it, but I think you are. And I think it's going to come out. So, not that it matters to me. I'm just saying it's going to be newsworthy. That's what I mean. Like, it doesn't matter to me, but it's part of your identity crisis, and it's going to show up. So I hope you're prepared, because if you are gay, call it out first. A lot easier if you call it out first. That's the way I see it. And then you retreat. So, I'm kind of getting some mixed messages here. Oh, no, I'm not. Remember I said transformation doesn't necessarily have to be a good thing? Right. This does not turn out to be a good thing for you, Brandon. Sorry. It does change your life forever. Not for the positive. But I still got more cards to look at, so let's be, put the brakes on. So first we established that Brandon is not the father. Brandon is not MJ's son. Period. 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 There's not a DNA in the world that truly will match Brandon and anything of Michael Jackson's. Sorry. And that DNA that they have, it's been doctored. But that's been proven that it's been doctored. That's not psychic. The potential is high for this to change your career, and it looks like it does for a nanosecond, and then the brakes get put on. The public does not go for it. I get that you and Akon are on pins and needles hoping that this ploy works. It doesn't work. It's very, very deceptive. The public picks up on it, and the public's not happy about it. The MJ family is victorious, but in a way they also don't care. You're worried. You're worried. You really, really need this. And I'm sorry you had to go this route. I just wish you could have gone on your own talent. How about that? That would have been better. Just to go on your own talent. But you can't go on your own talent because Akon got in the middle of it. Good for you, Akon. Because this isn't about... Akon, this is more about your producing. And this is this kid's life. And, you know, it just sucks. It just really, really sucks. That if you're in your 20s or your 30s and you make this huge mistake like he's already made, and then now you carry that for the rest of your life. This is, you know, Brandon, this is your version of Monica Lewinsky. Huge, huge mistake. Just not worth the drama that could come out of this. It's a moment, it's a moment of stardom. It's literally your 15 minutes of fame. I can't even see your record coming out and people liking it. You're going to be famous, but not for what you want. Not for what you want. So now I'm looking to see if Joe Jackson, Michael Jackson's son, is... Let me do these cards. Oh, wait. I'm going to look at Joe Jackson real quick. I already went 11 minutes. I'm bored. I'm so bored right now. Joe, you're the one I'm more worried about. You don't have that much money, Joe. So, I don't know how you're living, but I just don't see that you have that much money. Is Joe Jackson Brandon's father? Joe. I had another one to do. 9, 10. Joe wouldn't care. Joe wants to be back in the limelight. This is the mother. Brandon's mother does show up. She was paid off. She truly was taken care of nicely. She was paid off. She was paid off. She was paid off, that's for sure. You know, God, I want to say yes. I want to say yes. Okay. I want to say yes, that Brandon is Joe Jackson's son. I want to say yes. But I also want to say that there may have been some trickery involved. So it might have been like maybe she was sleeping with more than one person and then she told Joe, this is your son. Put the brakes on. Something lost, but something still remains. This is a hard call, because my cards want to say yes, that Brandon could be related to Joe. That's what my cards want to say. I get a yes, Brandon could be related to Joe. But I get some trickery involved. Here's what I'm getting. I'm getting she was definitely pregnant, and she definitely told Joe, it's yours. Whether or not that's ever been truly identified, because remember, years ago, there were no DNA tests. You just kind of slept with the guy, and you were like, oh, it's yours. And then some people find out 18 years later that the child that they raised wasn't theirs. So I can't go much longer, and I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. Not Joe Jackson's son. Not MJ's son. I believe that this woman may have impressed upon Joe that it was his, and I do believe that Joe did take care of him. That I believe. There's a lot of money around her, so I totally believe that Joe believed that it was his, and the baby was well taken care of. Okay, thanks, guys. Take it easy. Bye.